It began like any ordinary morning, but the moment a German shepherd walked through the hospital doors with a bleeding child draped across his back, everything changed. Doctors, nurses, and patients froze in disbelief as the dog stood silently in the lobby, eyes focused, body tense, pleading for someone to understand. Without growling or panic, he allowed a nurse to approach and lift the unconscious girl from his back. The child was rushed to the trauma bay, barely clinging to life, while the dog, later named Scout, waited outside the doors, pacing anxiously. No tags, no chip, no known owner. Surveillance footage revealed Scout had come from the forest, emerging alone, walking with purpose not lost but on a mission. In the hours that followed, it became clear that Scout wasn't just any stray. He had rescued the girl from a hidden forest camp after she had been abducted by a man posing as her uncle. Injured and near death, the girl owed her life to the very dog that refused to leave her side. Scout's loyalty, intelligence, and courage stunned everyone. He wasn't trained, he wasn't commanded, he simply loved. And that love drove him through miles of danger to find help saving a life when time was running out. Scout's story goes beyond an act of bravery. It's a testament to the unspoken bond between a child and her protector. When doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize the girl, Scout remained just outside the trauma room, pacing and whining, softly refusing to leave. He wasn't a trained service dog or a known companion, just a nameless shepherd who had carried a child out of danger. Once allowed inside, Scout took his place beside her bed, watching every move the staff made as though standing guard. When the girl finally opened her eyes and whispered, "Scout," the entire room understood. This wasn't a chance encounter, it was devotion. The girl later revealed she had been abducted and hidden in the forest by a man pretending to be her uncle. Through fear and pain, Scout had never left her side, even after she lost consciousness. With no one to guide him, he navigated unfamiliar woods, crossed roads, and found the hospital, choosing the one place that could save her life. That act of unwavering loyalty redefined what people thought a dog could do. Scout didn't need medals or training, he had heart. And in that heart, the little girl he saved had always been home. Scout's instincts were more powerful than any alarm. When the little girl he had protected for days finally opened her eyes in the ICU and whispered his name, it confirmed what the doctors and nurses had suspected all along. He wasn't just a stray, he was her guardian. The child revealed she'd been taken by a man pretending to be her uncle, and that Scout had stayed by her side through hunger, fear, and violence. Even when she lost consciousness, he refused to leave her. Driven by pure loyalty, he carried her through miles of woods and found the hospital, saving her life with only minutes to spare. It wasn't training that led him there, it was love. In a world where trust is fragile and danger often hides in plain sight, Scout reminded everyone that heroes can come on 4 legs with no words, just a heart strong enough to carry hope. When authorities reviewed hospital surveillance footage, they were stunned by what they saw. Scout the German shepherd emerging from the forest with purpose, the unconscious girl draped carefully across his back. He didn't stumble in, he walked with intent, heading straight for help. This was not instinct alone, but awareness and determination. Investigators quickly followed the trail Scout had left behind, deep into the woods bordering the hospital. What they found chilled them: a hidden camp signs of struggle, blood-stained rags, a broken phone, and a child's missing shoe. It was clear the girl had been held there, and she hadn't been alone. Thanks to Scout's actions and the girl's later account, police were able to identify and apprehend the man responsible as he tried to flee town. Without Scout's intervention, she may have never been found. What moved the community even more was the dog's refusal to leave her side, not in the hospital, not during recovery, and not when she was placed into foster care. When asked where she wanted to go, the girl simply said, "Scout comes with me." That loyalty, that unwavering presence reminded everyone that family isn't always bound by blood, but by those who never leave when it matters most. After the man who abducted the little girl was arrested, Scout's heroism became national news. Headlines called him the miracle dog and the four-legged angel. But Scout didn't care about the attention, he only cared about her. As she recovered in foster care, Scout remained by her side, following her from room to room, sleeping beside her bed, and offering silent comfort during her nightmares. When social workers considered separating them, the girl clung to him and whispered, "Scout comes with me." The bond was undeniable and unbreakable. The hospital held a small ceremony to honor him, where staff and patients gathered to applaud the dog who had defied all odds. A bright red ribbon was draped around his neck, and though Scout didn't understand the clapping or the cameras, he stood tall when the girl hugged him tight. Soon after, Scout was nominated for the National Canine Bravery Award, not for his training, but for his unmatched instinct, devotion, and courage. He had not only saved a child's life, but also reminded an entire nation of what true loyalty looks like. In a world often divided, Scout's quiet strength became a symbol of hope, healing, and the powerful love between a child and her dog. Scout's story resonated far beyond the hospital walls. Though he was never trained as a rescue dog, his natural instincts, loyalty, and love proved more powerful than any certification. His actions inspired a wave of compassion across the country. People who had never considered adopting began visiting shelters. Dogs once labeled unadoptable were now being given second chances. News outlets ran features about Scout schools, invited speakers to share his story, and shelters reported increased interest in senior and shelter dogs alike. But through all the attention, Scout remained grounded, never leaving the girl's side. He followed her into her new foster home like he had followed her out of danger, steady, silent, and loyal. The girl, still healing from her trauma, often found her strength in his presence. She would whisper secrets into his fur and rest her hand on his back when the nightmares returned. Together they rebuilt trust in a world that had broken it. Scout had done more than save a life. He had awakened a national conversation about the emotional intelligence of animals, the depth of their bonds with humans, and the healing power of love. In Scout, the world didn't just see a dog, they saw a guardian, a survivor, and a quiet hero. In the months that followed, Scout's presence continued to change lives, not just the girls, but those around her. Teachers noticed how she began to smile, more participate in class, and sleep through the night, something she hadn't done since her rescue. Scout became her emotional anchor, her sense of safety in an uncertain world. When she was adopted by a loving family who agreed to take Scout too, it marked the beginning of a new chapter for them both. Community members who had followed the story gathered to say goodbye to the girl and her loyal dog, many with tears in their eyes. Scout's story became a permanent part of local legend, but more importantly, a symbol of resilience and healing. The little girl, once voiceless and afraid, found courage in the steady heartbeat of the dog who never left her. And Scout, once a nameless stray, found his purpose, not through training, but through love. Their bond taught an entire community that healing doesn't always come from medicine or therapy. It can come from being seen, being held, and never being left behind. In the quiet way only a dog can, Scout reminded everyone that even in the darkest moments, loyalty can light the way home. Scout's journey from a nameless stray to a national symbol of courage left behind more than headlines. It left a legacy. His story prompted changes in local shelters, encouraging staff to look beyond behavior and ask about history, trauma, and potential. Volunteers were trained to recognize fear-based responses, and dogs once seen as lost causes were given second chances. Scout had unknowingly opened hearts to the idea that loyalty, courage, and healing often live in the most unexpected souls. For the little girl, Scout wasn't just a pet, he was her anchor. When asked what made her feel safe again, she didn't name a person, a place, or a toy. She simply said, Scout. His presence gave her the confidence to rebuild her life, trust others, and smile again. The National Canine Bravery Award, which Scout eventually received, didn't sit on a mantle for fame. It sat next to her bed, right beside Scout's worn leather collar, a reminder of the day he carried her to safety. In Scout, the world didn't just see a heroic dog. They saw the possibility of healing, after harm, of trust, after betrayal, and of love after loss. And in that, Scout gave something bigger than rescue. He gave hope.